Support for Radio Friends comes from Columbia Healthy Smiles, the dental office of husband and wife team Dr. Batson and Dr. Abe, offering comprehensive and customized care to patients of all ages. Learn more by calling 573-721-9039 or online at www.columbiahealthysmiles.com. Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on this last day of May 31st, 2023. It seems like we were just saying Happy New Year back in January. Here we are, we're going into June, and we have JOAN STACK with us from the State Historical Society. Yes. Pleasure to have you here,
Oh,
JOAN.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Now, you're talking about an acquisition that you have.
That's pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
I mean, I've come and talked about other acquisitions, but this is certainly the heaviest acquisition we've acquired since I've been here. It's a 5,000-pound marble sculpture, over life size, of one of Missouri's first senators, Thomas Hart Benton, who was a senator for 30 years.
And this is a 5,000 pound. I'm holding a picture of it. If you're watching on television or online, this is oversized. How tall is it?
Well, he's, I think, about 7 feet tall. Maybe that's without his pedestal, so maybe 8, closer to 8, 7.5.
And how tall was he in person?
Oh, I think he was a big man. I mean, the people often talk, he was a little bit chubby, but he had a very imposing presence. He was very much a man of his time. He participated in some duels
And this was in the state capitol?
This was in, not the state capitol, the U.S. capitol.
The U.S. capitol?
Yes.
Okay.
Since 1899, it has been.
Oh, he's been there since 1899
right.
in the U.S. capitol?
Yes, he was sculpted by Alexander Doyle in 1899. The state of Missouri allocated funds. Back then, it was $12,000 for 2 sculptures. So that shows you what inflation has been. It was $400,000 to create the sculpture that replaced him in the Capitol.
Okay, who replaced him in the U.S. Capitol?
Well, I think you can guess. It's somebody who is probably the most famous politician from Missouri.
In Missouri, okay.
And that would be Harry S. Truman. So you can understand the Truman Library raised funds, $400,000 to hire Tom Corbin to make a bronze sculpture of Harry S. Truman. And so he is shown in bronze striding down the stairway, and it's a wonderful sculpture. But there's a rule at the Capitol that each state only gets 2 sculptures, and Thomas Hart Benton was one of 2. The other one was Frank Blair, and the Capitol decided that Thomas Hart Benton would go. And so Truman was actually installed in September of last year, but it took a while to get Benton to us. So we didn't get him until February of this year.
So he was in transit all
he was storage and some of the time. They had to, when he actually came, the movers had all these pulleys and things to get him from a horizontal position to a vertical position. And he actually had a little chip came off of his collar. Oh. And we had to bring a conservator in to fix that. I actually have a close-up of him and his collar, and you can see how beautiful the collar looks.
So when he arrived, the chip was there?
No, it was when in the process of using pulleys to make him vertical, to move him from a horizontal to a vertical position. You have to put all kinds of straps.
Yeah.
And marble is strong, but not that strong. So in the process, one of the straps in the collar was a vulnerable position. Pulled against the collar and lost the tip of it. But luckily, we saved it immediately, and were able to.
Were there gasps when it happened?
Yes, of course. I mean, we were terrified. Oh. But I soon realized.
Were you there when it happened?
Well, I wasn't there right when it happened, but I soon came and saw it, and I was worried, but I was assured that it happens often when you move a piece of sculpture that size.
So it was able to be repaired.
Yes.
And you didn't get super glue yourself and put it back up there.
We had a conservator, and they used their particular materials, but they did use the original tip that we had saved. And basically,
you can't tell it now at all.
No. It was done very beautifully by her.
Okay. And now, is this his permanent home?
Yeah, it better be, because I don't think we're moving him again. So, and so we have fancy signage up, and we're really proud of this new acquisition. It brings a little bit of the national capital to us.
Well, how did it end up that you were able to acquire it coming from from Washington, D.C.?
Well, I think they wanted, usually they offer these to the various states, because the state of Missouri.
But I mean, why did yours?
Well, because we were the people who wanted it. I mean, I'm sure it was offered to the state capitol, but they may have not had a place for it. And so we are a state agency. So in a way, they're giving it back to the state of Missouri.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah.
And where is he located?
As you walk in the gallery, you walk a little bit to the right and look down a little corridor, and you'll see him. I think you can possibly see him from outside the gallery, but I'm not sure.
Would you say this is one of the highlights?
I would think so. I mean, we all the other sculpture we've had is fairly small. So here we have something very monumental. We could never commission such a thing. The cost to create something like this now is well beyond anything we would have. So it's interesting because it is one of Missouri's first senators. So he served for so many years. He witnessed history and made history. He was an interesting person who kind of evolved from supporting slavery during the time of statehood to being against slavery by the time he died in the 1850s. His son and his daughter and his son-in-law were very anti-slavery, and I think they played a role in changing his mind.
Did you, because this statue is so heavy, was there a concern about the weight limit and where you could put it, and how did you decide where it was safe to place it on the floor?
Well, it is placed in a kind of close to a wall, so there's supporting structures underneath. And we were told by the architects and engineers who were involved in building the building, we contacted them, that we could not put him there with the base, which was also 5,000 pounds. So
you couldn't do what?
There was a base in the Capitol, so he was up higher in the Capitol on this big gray stone base.
Oh, but you could. The building couldn't support that.
That was another 5,000 pounds. So it couldn't. They didn't feel confident that it would be okay to put a 10,000 pound sculpture there.
Yeah, because when you said the weight, the first thing that popped into my mind is, how could you decide where it was safe to place this? So where is the base then?
We still have the base. We're looking for a home for the base, but it will probably go to another state agency, probably.
You can't just display the base separately?
Well, we could, but I don't think we have a good place for it. And once we move it, we may not be able to move it again. It's in a crate now.
Okay, you're not going to move these around the dust. Whatever is under the floor at that point is going to stay. You're not going to move it to wax and dust. If you want more information, it's shsmo.org, State Historical Society. Joan Stack, it's always a pure pleasure having you here. Thank you for coming by. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.